Wow, this one is juicy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, this Documento1.txt is a wild ride. We're talking about two sisters, right? Cassandra and Jessica. And of course, their story takes place in a charming little town called Millhaven.
Ah, the classic small-town setting. What's it like?
Think, like, picture perfect,
Yeah.
the kind of place you see on a postcard right on the coast. But as we'll see, things aren't always as idyllic as they seem.
Right, right. There's always more beneath the surface, especially in these seemingly perfect towns.
Exactly. Now, Cassandra and Jessica, they're as different as, well, you and me, I guess.
How so?
Well, Cassandra, she was like the golden child. Beautiful, talented, married to this successful architect, Dominic Blonde. They were like Millhaven royalty, living the dream.
I see. And what about Jessica? Where does she fit into all of this?
Well, Jessica is a bit more, how do I put this? A bit more complicated. She's described as kind of a wild card, a free spirit, but Documento1.txt hints at some troubles in her past.
Like what?
Failed relationships, money problems, you name it. She comes back to Millhaven supposedly to reconnect with her roots, but it seems like she's running from something.
Interesting. So we have Cassandra, the golden child, living a seemingly perfect life,
Yeah.
and Jessica, the prodigal sister, returning home under mysterious circumstances. It sounds like a recipe for some serious drama.
Oh, you better believe it. And here's the kicker. Even as a kid, Jessica had this way of, charming people, getting what she wanted, almost manipulative,
Ah, so those tendencies were always there. Makes you wonder if it's nature or nurture, doesn't it?
Right. Some people just have that knack. But anyway, things get really interesting when Jessica sets her sights on someone she shouldn't. Dominic.
Cassandra's husband?
Oh boy, this is where it gets complicated.
You can say that again? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll dive into all the juicy details of this love triangle in a bit. First, let's rewind and talk more about Jessica's return to Millhaven and the events that set this whole tragedy in motion.
Sounds like a plan. I'm hooked already. So Jessica comes back to Millhaven, right? And it's not like she's welcomed with open arms, There's this underlying tension.
Oh, totally. You can practically cut the tension with a knife. And then there's Dominic.
The architect husband.
Right.
Yeah. Successful, charming. On the surface, he's got it all, but Documento1.txt suggests he was feeling a little, restless, maybe trapped in this picture-perfect life he had with Cassandra.
Ah, the classic case of be careful what you wish for, right? You strive for the perfect life, and then it starts to feel like a gilded cage.
Exactly. And that's where Jessica comes in.
Oh boy, here we go.
Right, like a moth to a flame. She's drawn to Dominic, and he's not exactly immune to her charms.
I mean, can you blame him? We're talking about a guy who's feeling a little stifled, and suddenly this captivating woman waltzes back into town with a whole lot of baggage and a whole lot of allure.
Don't forget the manipulation skills. Documento1.txt really emphasizes how Jessica knew how to play the game.
Oh, absolutely. She was a master at reading people, finding their weaknesses, and then using those weaknesses to her advantage. And in Dominic's case, I think she sensed his vulnerability a mile away.
Totally. And she uses it to get closer to him, becoming his confidant, listening to all his woes about his seemingly perfect life.
Classic move. Positioning herself as the understanding friend, the shoulder to cry on, all while subtly planting seeds of doubt about his marriage.
Sneaky. But effective.
Oh, incredibly effective. And let's not forget, Jessica thrives on this kind of drama. It's almost like she gets off on it,
Right. She's like a lightning rod for chaos.
Right.
And as you can imagine, this whole situation with Dominic, it's a powder keg waiting to explode. And explode it does. Documento1.txt really doesn't hold back on the details of their affair.
No, it doesn't. It's passionate, it's risky, and it's messy. And let's be honest, the secrecy, the danger, it just adds fuel to the fire.
Totally. But like all things, this clandestine affair couldn't last forever. The truth always has a way of coming out, and when it does, well, let's just say the fallout is catastrophic. So Cassandra, she's starting to suspect something's up.
Oh yeah, those alarm bells are definitely ringing. Remember that hotel matchbook Cassandra finds?
Oh, yeah. That's a pretty big red flag.
Exactly.
Oh.
And then there's Dominic's behavior, like he's not even trying to hide it anymore.
Totally. Documento1.txt mentions those late-night phone calls, the way he's always distracted. And that time Cassandra smelled Jessica's perfume on him. Come on.
The evidence was piling up. But, sometimes you just don't want to see what's right in front of you.
Especially when it comes to the person you love.
Right. Absolutely. Denial can be a powerful force. But eventually, the truth has to come out.
And it does. Cassandra confronts Dominic.
Oh boy, that confrontation is intense. You can practically feel the raw emotion coming off the page.
No kidding. Cassandra's angry, she's hurt, and you can tell she's desperate for Dominic to just deny it all, to make it all go away.
Of course. Who wouldn't want to cling to that last shred of hope? But deep down, I think she already knew the truth.
Yeah, you're probably right. And as if things couldn't get any worse, Jessica shows up.
Talk about adding fuel to the fire.
Seriously, she walks in like she owns the place. Documento1.txt describes this look on her face, like a mix of defiance and, I don't know, maybe even a little satisfaction.
It's like she was reveling in the chaos, wasn't she?
Yeah, something like that. And Cassandra, she just breaks down. She's completely shattered by their betrayal. It's actually heartbreaking to read.
It really is. And you can't help but wonder if things could have gone differently.
Right. Like, what if she hadn't gotten in that car that night?
Well, that's the question that haunts everyone in Millhaven, isn't it? Was it just a tragic accident fueled by grief and alcohol? Or was there something more to it? Detective Watson seemed to think so, with all those inconsistencies at the crash site.
True. And then there's Olivia's testimony. Remember, she's the one who tells everyone that Cassandra confided in her about Dominic and Jessica.
Right, right. So the question becomes, did knowing about the affair contribute to Cassandra's state of mind that night? Did her emotional distress impair her judgment and lead to the accident?
It's a lot to unpack, and in the end, we're left with more questions than answers.
That's often the case with these kinds of tragedies. There's the official narrative, but then there are always whispers, doubts, and those lingering what-ifs.
Absolutely, and I think that's what makes Documento1.txt so compelling. It forces us to confront the complexities of human nature, the ripple effects of infidelity, and the devastating consequences of keeping secrets. What do you think? What will you take away from this story?
For me, it's a reminder that even in the most picture-perfect places, darkness can lurk beneath the surface. And sometimes, the people we think we know best can surprise us in the worst ways imaginable.
Well said. Well, folks, there you have it. Another deep dive into the human condition, complete with its messy entanglements of love, betrayal, and loss. Until next time, keep those critical thinking caps on, and remember, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.